Welcome to Third Age Talk. I'm MP Wilkinson,
I'm Julia Wilkinson Rice.
and this is a podcast primarily about aging. The name is from English author Peter Laslett. He was actually a historian, and he divided ages of life into four. One being childhood, two being responsibility, work, and raising a family, three being the age I'm in now, which is primarily after retirement. And then the fourth age is depressingly about getting not physically well and dying.
Womp womp.
Yeah. So that's where age talk comes from.
And what is the purpose? What would you like to get out of this?
Well, I think it's a subject we don't talk about enough. I mean, in general, in the world. Obviously, you and I haven't talked about it much either. And I also hope other people will participate and leave comments and let us know where they'd like it to go because there are so many people who probably don't have an outlet to talk about it or at least interact with others about it. So I hope that we get other people involved. I also love that you and I get to spend time together. And I think that leads
Because we are
into
mother and daughter, as a
we are
reminder.
there we go. Thank you. Um, and I think we naturally, we did even somewhat in the first episode, we'll get into things about our relationship. And so obviously, mother-daughter, mother-child is very universal. And so we hope other people can relate. And it would also be nice to hear people's opinions when we might have disagreements or tension or whatever
Yeah.
that they can say, hey, I can relate, or did you look at it this way? Or, so I think that would be good. And then I have parody songs, so I want to do a song every time. And then I have a memoir about my mother's cancer journey. Um, and so I'd like that to be part of every episode as well.
Yeah. And what we kind of wanted to talk about in today's episode was just a bit more around what life for you has been like recently, how you're spending your days, and what kind of your day to day has been approaching 70 now.
Yeah, I'm 69
Yep.
still. Thank you. Um, yeah, this age is a different time. And although I'm not retired, I do have some more flexibility in my work as a real estate agent. So I can control a little bit more of what I do.
hmm
Having come off of a very, very, very demanding job as a teacher, it's really, really different. And at first it was, you know, wonderful and just kind of shocking how much stress was off and how much flexibility that I never ever had as a teacher um, was changed, how much more flexibility I have. So, but as I'm doing it a little longer, so it's been about three years, almost 4 years since I've been teaching.
Yep.
And as that time has been longer, it's interesting in that sometimes the days aren't as full as I'd like them to be. And it's great to have choice, and sometimes choice makes you immobile,
Mm,
and just kind of, yeah, I could do anything, but I'm doing nothing, you know. And in this age of phones and lots of on TV, it's
yeah.
easy to just fill your time with that. So I've been trying to get a little structure, although my job isn't all that structured. Um, I can determine a lot of my schedule. And one of the things that I do almost every day, especially in the good weather, is play pickleball. And that's something that this age of people do a lot. Or I should say, most of the people I play with are in the third age
Yeah.
or close to it.
I want to go back to what you were saying about the kind of like lack of structure that you were talking about as well. I actually think about this a lot recently. Like if I'm having a bad day in my corporate job. I'm like, oh, I just want to be like an influencer, or something, you always like, I want to be something where I don't have to go 9 to 5. Like I have that flexibility. But then that also comes with a lot of stress. Like you have to have a lot of self motivation. Like how do you even come up with that structure? How do you put it in writing? Like how do you hold yourself accountable? You don't have a boss to do that. So like how do you hold yourself accountable to that?
Well, one of the ways is, especially in the nice weather, we have this group that plays pickleball every morning at 7:30
Hmm.
at a park. And you have to have four people to play. And so if you don't have four people, it's really a pain. I mean,
Yeah.
there's certain ways you can adapt the game, but ideally you have four people. So one thing is we have a, chat where who's going to be there tomorrow. And so once you put your name in, I'm going to be there at 7:30, you're held accountable because they're counting on you. And so to me that really helps
Yeah.
is that I'm going to be there every day at 7:30. And they're counting on me. So it gets me up, gets me going, gets me moving. And it's very hard if I ever very rarely has to have to say, sorry, never mind, I'm not coming.
Hmm.
You feel terrible because they're counting on you. So that
It's not
helps a lot.
it's not like you're running. It's not like you're going on a run on your own, and
Right.
'cause that's so individual. It's like it's a team, and you don't want to. That makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So that helps me a lot.
But I would like love to hear walk us through how you got into it. Like how'd you get the bug?
There was a friend of mine that I used to teach with, and I ran into her like at the mall or
Hmm.
something. And, you know, she said, "Oh, you know what? You might really like. I've been playing pickleball at the Y. Why don't you come?" And I'm like, "Mm, I've never been a jock. I dabbled in tennis.
Hmm.
I'm pretty good at ping pong. But never thought of that
Hmm.
really. And so she said, "Why don't you come try it?" Well, you say people have the skill but not the will. It never usually works that way because everybody has the will. Once you start playing,
Right.
it's very addicting.
Yeah.
It's very addicting. And so once I started, I'm like, and I wasn't obviously good when I
Hmm.
started. And one awesome thing is that in general, pickleball players are very welcoming and
Yeah.
understanding and patient with newbies. And so I had these, third age older people welcome me with open arms and patiently let me get the skill that some of them have, and so I do the same when new people come now. And so it got instantly addicting, instantly.
And do you, because they're all in the third age or, the people that you play with, do you have these sorts of third age, like aging conversations, or what is it usually like in the social setting of it?
Well, it's funny because yes, when you're in this age, a lot of the talk is about doctor's
Yeah.
appointments,
Your kids.
Medicare, grandchildren.
Right.
Also, yeah, there are aches and pains, and people in the chat, I can't come today because of my knee and my back is bothering. So yeah, there's a lot of talk about the physical,
Yeah.
and then there's a lot of talk about the things with aging. Where we can play free at the Y because we're all in Medicare and silver single. I mean, not silver singles, silver sneakers. Silver singles is a dating thing, which we'll
I
talk
know it
about another
is.
time. But silver sneakers
Yeah.
allows you to play at the Y for free. And um, so yeah, that's basically what we talk about is things that have to do with aging.
Um, I know pickleball has been, one of the good things that you've been doing day to day. What are the not so good things that you're having to do now, kind of day to day?
I don't know if I would say that I have to do day to day. I would
Right.
say the day to day not so good things is that okay, when there's not something to do,
Mm.
it's a strange because my life first being a single mom and then being a teacher, I mean, it was go, 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 go. And it was very hard to find time to do fun stuff. And
Right.
now that I have time, it's like, whoa, how do I fill that time? So I would say there's big chunks of, solitude that
Mhm.
maybe I'd rather not have, you know. Um, but I would say that's the biggest negative, and being single, that not a lot of my friends that play pickleball are not single, and
Right.
so they do have the partner that provides that kind of support and things to do with their time.
Yeah.
It's not a normal dating situation.
Yeah.
It's not like a lot of these couples are coming out of my pickleball group at least.
Right.
I do know of one, and maybe two, but there's so many people too that move in and out every day. You're not playing with the same people. And so you never know who's going to be there. You never have the same level of relationship or,
Mhm.
comfort or familiarity with everybody. It's pretty surface.
Mhm.
Um, so it hasn't really gone beyond that. It's interesting because I think about, if I ever would find a partner that way, there's ways people play which would totally turn me off, like I would never consider them.
Yes.
And then there are the absolute sweethearts that are
Yep.
just so patient and so wonderful and so supportive and so it's definitely a standard I will use. First of all, it would be great if they played, period.
Yeah.
And then, what kind of a guy are they when they play
Well,
would
it's
definitely
like
make a difference.
when I was on the hunt, for my husband or whatever before Adam and I reconnected, my biggest thing was how do they treat their servers and their bartenders? Because that was the world I was in. I was a bartender at the time. It's like that's very important. It's a really indicative of who they are at home, even how are they treating people in this social situation. So, do you want to keep talking about pickleball or relationships, or where would you want to go?
Well, I have a pickleball song, so I think that would make sense to do that here,
Great.
and then we can change subjects.
Perfect. Let's do it.
So this is a Pickleball Wizard. 0-0 start. Ever since I was a young girl, I never touched a ball. Name a sport, I dare you, I hardly played at all. So you ain't seen nothing like it, spring, summer, winter, fall. This non-jock and old girl sure plays a mean pickleball. I don't stand like a statue, I move up at second bounce. Stopping at the kitchen, always set to pounce. By some magic intuition, I answered to the call. This non-jock and old girl sure plays a mean pickleball. I'm a PB wizard, I spin it with a twist. A PB wizard, did you see me flick my wrist? How do you think I do it? I'll tell ya what makes me so good. Ain't got no distractions, no work or kids at home. Retirement is smashing, can't stay home alone. And no, I don't run backwards, so I've never had a fall. This non-jock and old girl sure plays a mean pickleball. I thought old age was strictly lazy land until I felt that paddle in my hand. 662.
Sneaky, sir.
762.
shot, MP.
862 962 out 1062. Indoor courts or outside, I still can be the best. Dink me or go smash one and I'll just do the rest. I can't wait to see you across the net. Come on, this non-jock and old girl sure loves to play pickleball.
Pickleball is just a fun sport.
It makes me get up and moving in the morning.
You come as an individual and then get placed with anybody and everybody and enjoying their company.
It becomes addictive.
It's a really fun game.
And it becomes an addiction. It's good exercise and you're out in the fresh air in the spring and summer and fall.
It's only a game and it's social.
Keeps me fit and active.
We've got a great community of people here.
Good competition.
It's a good exercise and way to meet people, get me out of the house.
All different types of people and skill sets.
And I just love it.
Good game.
Good game. Great game. So that's Pickleball Wizard.
Talk us through how you came up with it and everything. I mean, obviously, I'm sure everyone knows the song it's parodied from, but walk us through it.
I just wanted to celebrate what I was into, and there was actually a party of pickleballers, and I thought it would be fun to do a song. And it was early in my pickleball career.
Mm-hmm.
So people didn't know that about me, that I like to do parody songs. And so it was a neat way to bring that part of my life to theirs. And it was a big hit. And obviously I asked them to give me their opinion on the sport and what they get out of it. And so it was neat that they participated and said all the things that I've been saying. Gets me up in the morning, gets me moving, it's social, it's addictive. All those things are really, really true. And it is neat. You walk into a court and people, oh, MP's here. You smile, you get this nice positive reinforcement. And then in general, people are very, very supportive. Good shot, you hear all the time. Or, oh, you almost had it. You hear all, it's just very, 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 for the most part, positive.
It's cool as well because, I mean, I know you said you're not a jock, like you didn't grow up playing sports and stuff, but we grew up in a very competitive family. Every family thing is centered around a Packer Brewers game. The game's always on. We are always playing family games, Polish poker with grandpa, your dad. There's still that competitive aspect of it. And so it's really cool that you found one that you are now actively participating in, not just watching, because I think that's something I've always loved is like, no matter what, we've always watched games. Every school that you taught at, I have memories of like going to Mesmer basketball games and like, cheering on for Mesmer and stuff. Like we're still a sports family. And so it's cool that you've really, found something that in your third age you're so passionate about. I love it. I think it's so cool. I tell everyone, I'm like, she plays at least twice a day.
Yeah, many times when I can, at least once, but sometimes twice, definitely. Well, and so my one sister, Jerry, great jock. My two brothers, Tim and Jim, great jocks. But Sarah and I and Jerry too were the drama kids, so they had their games, we had our plays, and we would make fun of my dad because he would say, what time is drama practice over? And we like, no, no, no. Practice is the boys, rehearsal is us girls,
It's funny.
But so it does give me a certain amount of pride that I'm good at something physical when that wasn't in my past.
And I think it's good. I mean, it makes me, as your daughter, feel so great that you're so active right now. We have a lot of heart issues in our family. That is a huge generational thing. So I know that it's not going to solve everything, but the fact that you are being active, especially right now in your age, that's great. This is the time to do it. So
yeah, I'm really grateful I found it. It's a big part of my life.
It's great.
So we were talking about also dealing with our relationship as part of this. So I know you have some questions that might spark conversation about a relationship. So why don't we transition into that?
Get into it. I think even just filming episode one created conversations that we didn't even realize were needed, which was great. And we did that off camera and we, hashed it out and stuff. And wasn't always easy, but it's been really cool to realize that, yes, it's a, conversation about aging, but naturally, if we are doing this together, it's going to also create conversations about our relationship. So why not incorporate that into this podcast? Like my mom said earlier when she was starting the podcast, this episode, we are sure that people can relate to it. So we kind of want to bring that flair into it as well.
Um,
So
so let me just interrupt you 1 second. Now people are going to be wondering what this big
okay.
conversation was.
Go
Don't you
for
think?
it. You want to talk about it? You want to summarize it. Summarize it.
Well, it centered around the issue of dependence, which I think we'll get into, and kind of relates to what we talked about before about how do you spend your time.
Mhm.
It's when I was a single mom, you were my life,
Mhm.
obviously, and then teaching, and I didn't feel like I had a lot of people to be dependent on.
Right.
And now when I'm getting older and thinking about being dependent, even now I feel like I'd like to spend more time with you or,
Mhm.
talk to you more. And that's a really hard thing to be a position to be in for me as the one that was dependent on for so long to think about being dependent on somebody else. So, I think it brought up some of that what's it going to be like? What should it be like now? What in the past influences how we deal with each other now and our
Yeah.
dependence on each other.
And same for me too. It's like it was just my mom and I growing up, and so we kind of talked about that and I depended on her for so much, but also, yeah, now the idea and sentiment of her depending on me, the tables are going to turn. They're not right now, but this podcast is bringing up that sort of thought process and conversation. And we even talked about this in episode one as well, but even just a marriage and a wedding brings up mortality. It's making you really grateful for the people that are there, really sad for the people that aren't. It makes you think about what am I going to value from this special day, 20, 30 years down the line. It really does make you think about the future. Um, and so that made me really think about that with my mom and and this podcast. So we just had a conversation about what that's been like in the present, in the future. And it was not easy, but I think really great and beneficial that we like hash it out and are going into this next phase and stuff. So that's a good segue. So now that you're facing a new decade, what are your honest thoughts on solitude? But then also, does aging make you value your me time more? Or are you craving the chaos of a full house again?
The word solitude is very interesting because I don't know that I ever had much when I was a single mom, obviously. And, I'm making a big deal about that. I know people who were single parents of more than one, but even one, it's a lot,
Yeah.
when it's all on you. And
Yeah.
and it was since you were 9 months old, so
Right.
it was very much your whole life. And so between that and being a teacher, there wasn't a lot of solitude ever. Your We had an arrangement with your dad every other Saturday night, which always didn't always pan out. But when it did happen, I did find myself with solitude, and I would try to make, plans well in advance for that one Saturday night, twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the visitation would fall through, and so I didn't want to count on those plans all the time. Uh, but then I'd fill it up because it was, a specific time that I could plan on being alone and make my own plans. Now, well, and with teaching, even after you went to college or whatever, teaching is again very demanding. And so I didn't really have a lot of time for
Mm,
solitude, or I didn't take the time for solitude, honestly. It allows you to avoid things and facing things. And, when you're busy and tired, and, so I would fill the time when I did have it and
yep.
didn't necessarily prioritize or value solitude because it just wasn't a big part of my life.
Hmm.
So now it is sometimes the other extreme. And I do at times find myself just trying to fill my time. I'm not necessarily appreciating solitude yet, but I'm trying to get to a point where I do
Hmm.
and trying to then use that to be more reflective, to be more introspective, to be open to learning and growing, which I hope is a part of this phase of my life. I don't want to think my life is over. I don't want to think this is who I am. I hope that there's always opportunities to grow, and sometimes that you have to give yourself the time and space to do that.
Hmm.
And that has not been a part of my life. So part of me wants more distraction, and part of me, is learning that solitude is okay and to make the most of it.
I relate to that, even though we're in different stages. So you're saying that maybe in the past you would not necessarily consciously, but you also had a demanding job, obviously, but there were maybe times that you could have had solitude and you chose against it because of what it might mean. And now you're kind of forced with it, and now you're finally accepting it, is what you're kind of saying, it sounds.
Yeah.
I
It's
get
it's
that.
kind of like that I think I was an avoider of a lot of things,
Yeah.
because I was too busy.
Yeah.
And I always had that issue of falling asleep. All of a sudden, then now you give your mind a chance to face the things you didn't face all day, and so you can't sleep. So I
Yeah.
always had that. So now it's kind of like that, is in a more long range kind of situation where now I have time to
Hmm.
think and face and deal. And sometimes that's painful,
Yeah.
but I think it's good because I don't want to think, okay, well, I'm 70, so I'm not going to change. I'm not going to grow. I'm not going to, it's like downhill from here. I
Right.
don't want to have that attitude.
Well, we must be related because I very much relate to that as well. I feel like I know it's such a different time in my life, but early 20s, moved to New York. All I did was not be alone for like years, years, years. Was always with a roommate, always working, drinking, having fun, partying. And then the pandemic hit, and then it was like, oh, and then I lived alone for 2 years and really loved and valued solitude. Then had to get back into a partnership, not had to, but that sort of stuff. It's like that ebbing and flowing of like, I didn't trust myself to be alone with my thoughts for a while. And then I kind of was forced to, and now I'm better for it, but it doesn't make it easier to be alone and sit in your thoughts and stuff. So
Right. And
that
the
makes sense.
thoughts now are more like life is finite.
Yeah.
It didn't, so there's new things to face in your solitude, and thinking about how fast time goes, that cliche, it
Hmm.
goes so fast. And the older you get, to me, the faster it goes. It's like the years go really fast. Sometimes
Hmm.
the days go really slow,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you're in that solitude, do you ever find yourself being like, well, I should be doing something else with my time right now? Is that where that comes from a little bit, or?
Yes, because of life being finite,
Hmm.
it's like, what else should I be doing? What else should I do? But as a kind of avoider of solitude, I tend to fill my time. I keep things clean and organized, and then I will
Right.
go shopping. I definitely fill
I'm the
my time
same.
first.
Yeah.
I'm not one to lay around and then try to do something late in the day. And like we said, pickleball early helps. So I'm out, I'm up, I'm going, now what's next?
Yep.
But then, later in the day, and I would say the nights, get lonely and get to where you're a point of facing things and dealing with things and figuring out how you're going to fill your time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This might be a good time to do a next excerpt.
Let's do it.
So last time I started with the prologue, which was about setting up my mom's diagnosis and everything. And now I'm going to go back in time and start with my grandma's writing and introducing her. So now we're going to learn about how my mom came to be through her parents. So my grandma's name was Lucille. Lucille was social, driven, witty, and popular. Not so much a beauty as a presence. She had a talent for writing and used it in her 70s to write her life story, longhand. This is how Lou described her parents. John Francis Doherty was born on a many-acred farm in De Pere, Brown County, Wisconsin on September 6, 1877, one generation removed from a boat from Ireland. His antecedents were from County Kerry, Fen Post Office. My dad was the oldest of 12 children. He helped on the farm and went to school in De Pere. He left to become a Milwaukee Road Railroad engineer. I remember after payday and before his next railroad run, how Dad walked to the bank 3 blocks away on North Avenue to make the mortgage payments for our 5-room, 2-bedroom home on Clark Street in a wide, underdeveloped space on the northwest side of Milwaukee. He'd go to the drugstore and various other stations to pay light, gas, water, and telephone bills, with a stop on his return at the corner saloon for a beer and a visit with friends and neighborhood cronies. He was an Irish beer drinker, nothing else alcoholic. He exchanged gab with the boys, not gossip, newsy, homey information about a wife's operation, a son or daughter in college, maybe politics, about the popular Milwaukee mayor Daniel Hone, who had been elected term after term, or would learn about the weddings and funerals of nearby St. Anne's Parish. But over and above that, Dad told the boys railroad stories, and of course, every story he told involved the Irish. He was a superb imitator of the Irish brogue, and if there were any other nationalities among the Milwaukee Road personnel, switchmen, dispatchers, trainmen, firemen, or engineers, they never rated a John Doherty story. Teresa Tess Alice Butler was born on November 5th, 1879, also a generation removed from the Ireland to America emigration. One of 8 children, her mother died when Teresa was young, and she and her brother Joe was taken in by Teresa's brother Ed and sister-in-law Sally, who already had a large family of their own. They lived in Granville, Wisconsin, a rural area about 15 miles northwest of downtown Milwaukee, now known as Brown Deer. I don't know when Mother left Ed, Sally, and her cousins in Granville to find work in Milwaukee, where she and Dad met and eventually married. Although Mother stayed at home, there were not many working mothers in those days. She kept abreast of current events and world affairs, garnering a lot of information from over the fence. We might have been the first in the neighborhood to have a radio. There was acid involved in the early ones in some way because the floor near the radio was eaten away. So Lou's wit and lively personality becomes apparent in the story she goes on to tell about her childhood, centered around Milwaukee's St. Thomas Catholic Church and School. The 4 of us left home together, past St. Anne's, only a block away, but very German-oriented, especially sermons we couldn't understand, and walked the 7 blocks to St. Thomas Aquinas, with long underwear tucked into our stockings. Most of the parishioners were Irish. We never felt abused about having to walk to and from school, and we walked back and forth for lunch. Delicious hot soup and often a 1-dish meal. Lunch was a matter of hurrying, get to the table, and back on the run again. When I passed into 4th grade, we heard that our teacher was going to be Sister Polycarp, and a few of us imps consulted about teasing, maybe not nicely, about her name. Before we had a chance for teasing, she introduced herself and said it had always been her aim and ambition to become a nun. She took her final vows in the Dominican order, where it was the age-old custom for nuns to get their names from a rotation of saints list. She had known this and said she felt very unlucky in drawing the male name of Polycarp, but not for long. When she told how revered he had been in his time, of his strong faith and tender and merciful nature, the imps were frustrated and nipped in the bud when we realized how much he admired her saint and was more than reconciled to accept the name Polycarp. Our best laid plans collapsed, and we went on to have a very pleasant year with her and spared her the flack we had planned to give her. It was in eighth grade that I got into trouble that resulted in sister wanting to see one of my parents. It happened during an English lesson when we were being taught verses, rhyming, metering, etc. I picked up rhyming, but whatever came after that was lost to me. I stayed with rhyming and started to jot down a few. Bernice was a heck of a niece. She told the police when her uncle fleeced Maurice. Teacher will never have a mister if she always stays a sister. Margaret lost her barrette. She wouldn't have found it yet, except it fell on the carpet, was found by her pet and chewed and ate. Elise had a boil on her keister. Her keister was sore. She cried, and her mother kissed her. Ed Bell said go to hell to a group of girls at the well, especially Nell, and then ran pell-mell. Turner and his sister took turns cleaning out the urns. They were not exactly roses are red and violets are blue, but I slipped them to kids seated near me, and it was their snickering that got me into trouble. I was disruptive. Following the interview and after my mother took scathingly good care of me, I caught her chuckling and sharing my rhymes with the neighbor next door. During these days of prohibition, Mother and Dad were into making home brew and wine. The recipes for beer would come from the yards. Many of the railroad men were experienced and sharing. When we kids were coming home from school, we could smell the hops cooking from a distance and were embarrassed to think that our friends and neighbors would know what was going on at the Dohertys. When a batch had been used up, there would invariably be another recipe for a new batch for comparison. There must have been a colony of home brewers in the yards because recipes were constantly shared. Sometimes at night, when the house was quiet, a beer cap would explode, popping out and rolling across the attic floor. I suppose that meant the recipe would be discarded for a better one. Wine made from dandelions was all the rage, but at our house, grapes and raisins took precedence. I wasn't allowed to taste, so I didn't know which rated over the other. After Prohibition, everyone must have been quick to go to the much more palatable commercial creations.
That is so cool to hear about prohibition and everything. I mean, all of it. You know, we learn about it in history and everything, but to hear it from her and to hear, I mean, you know, we're an Irish Catholic family, so alcohol is important. So it's like really interesting to hear about.
I love
What
the beer cap popping in the middle of the night.
what are your main thoughts and takeaways from that, learning that about your grandma, you know, years later and stuff?
I loved, the fact that she got into trouble. I love that rebel in her. That's one of the ways I relate to her. But yeah, the prohibition story and the beer and wine in the attic, I love that.
Wild. It feels like, you know, when you learn that in history, it's like, oh, I don't know anyone that went through that, but I met Grandma Lou, you know, like I've met her before. Like I knew someone that was a part of that. I don't know, it feels like forever ago when you learn about it in history, and it's really interesting. What a weird time, you know, to be a part of, and her to be able to write about it. I wish that I feel like we've lost that a little bit in current history. Like, you know, how many people are writing such detailed descriptions about how they're feeling right now, about what's going on in the world? I'm not really sure. I mean, everyone's commenting on things and texting and talking about things, but are people really sitting down and like doing a diary of Anne Frank, or,
Right.
you know, how many people are doing that at my age and younger? I don't really know. And so it's really cool to hear from her perspective something that, you know, we learn about, and it feels so untouchable to even like think about. And so it's really
Mhm.
cool that she, you know, wrote about it. And she's hilarious. I mean, she's so funny. And she was like that until the day she died. She was so funny. I remember her being hilarious.
And I love her vocabulary when she said, after my mother took scathingly good care of me, which
Yeah.
was her way of saying she got yelled at
Yeah. Yeah.
for
It's
for
good.
getting in trouble in school. I mean, I
Yeah.
just love the way she phrases things. But yeah, you think about in the future, with your kids and their kids, they go, okay, let's go look at grandma's social media history.
Right.
I mean, where are we going to be looking to get to know our ancestors?
Totally. Yeah, it's like, are my kids gonna like look at my Instagram from like 2014, one day? What are they gonna think? Is it even gonna be around by then? Who knows?
I mean, that's a good point. How are those things going to be preserved? I mean, I guess we have, photo libraries of lots of videos and things, but how do you go through that? How do you, make it a legacy?
I don't know.
Well, and so we were going to end everyone with a question that I get to ask of you since you
Yes.
ask questions of me.
Yeah.
I want to ask what's one of your most significant memories? What has really stuck with you from your childhood?
You might not like it, so we might have to redo it, but I'm gonna say it right now.
Okay.
The thing that I'm thinking about the most is when we had our energy turned off. And I didn't even know that it was a financial thing or a situation in general, but I had the best memories of us sitting in the dark and we put candles on and we just like talked and played games. I don't even remember exactly what we did, but I remember vividly asking you, can we do this every month? And you were like, yeah, like you just made it so fun. And I just remember being like, this is so fun. It's just us. I just remember feeling like such a cohesive unit. And it's like, this is, obviously at that age, I didn't know what was happening or anything, but you made it so fun. And I like craved it and I loved it. And it really, like, what's wild to think about it now is it was taking away the technology, which is crazy because technology now is even crazier. But like, we would always bond over shows and games or music, and the power off took all of that away. And we just got to hang out and we would like play games. I just remember loving it. And literally, I just remember being like, we can do this all of the time, right? And you were like, yeah, we can do it every month.
This is
And
so wild, Jules. This
I
is so
loved it.
wild.
I just remember loving like the candles and like I just thought it was so fun. And you did such a good job of just, yeah, it was so fun.
Well, obviously, I'm an actress. Inside, I was absolutely horrified, that I didn't pay the electric bill, didn't, wasn't able to manage the money at that particular moment. Horrified,
No.
totally enjoyed my time with you, and then sobbed myself to sleep as the biggest failure in the world.
Oh, Mom, I had the best time.
I, I'm glad that it was not a traumatic experience for you
No, no, you crushed
because
it.
I felt like a failure. And it, like you said, it tells you everything about now because the fact that we try to, get kids to put down their phones or whatever. I mean, all of us were addicted to technology.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
think about what it would take now for that to ever happen. Even in a power outage, your phone still work, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think unless there's a global disaster, would we ever be in a position of being technology free?
Hmm.
Um, so it's interesting to think about like having forced technology free times in the family might be a good goal to have when you have kids, and just we could do a lights out night and just do it for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Not by necessity, but yeah, for fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it
And
was never.
yeah, I was fortunate that, it was very much of a temporary thing. Like they got turned back on the next morning or whatever because I had parents and resources, and if it was a money thing, they came through for me. There are so many people that go through it that don't have an immediate solution. Like we have been very fortunate to have the families that we've had and the support that we've had.
It's a really great point. 100%.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, I love doing this, Julia.
Me too. This is great. I always was excited about it, but now doing it, it's like this is really, really great that we get to talk and bringing up things that we never thought it would bring up and everything. It's really cool. It's really cool to
Exactly.
reflect on things for sure.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Love you.
Talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye.